Welcome. Welcome back to my channel Conquer the Fear. In this video, I'm going to discuss about how to create a REST API using the Spring Boot application, using the Spring Boot. Also, I will give you a real world example. So I'm going to take an example of book management API and I'm going to write the CRUD operation. So basically CRUD options are nothing but create, update and delete. So I'm going to fetch all the books from the database. I'm going to fetch single book. Also I'm going to create a new book. Along with that, I'm trying to modify that and then I'm going to delete that book. Okay, so these all operation I'm going to write the application code. So I will be creating the controller, I will be creating the repository, I will be creating the entity as well. So make sure you watch this video till the end. So before I import this particular project into the IntelliJ, you have to first go to the browser. Okay, so if you go to this particular browser here, if you see, you will be able to go to the starter.spring.io. Then you have to navigate to the uh, project where you have to select this particular Maven and then you have to select the language. And here if you see, I have to give the group ID over here. Okay, and then I have to create the artifact ID, name and the details over here. Okay, make sure you are selecting the latest table version over here and then creating the latest Java version. Now here on the right side, if you see, I have created or added three dependencies. One is web, one is S2 and one is the Spring Data JPA. Okay, so this is an in-memory database, so you doesn't have to create and install any databases manually. So this is an on-fly database. Okay, once you add this particular thing, you will be able to generate it and then you will be able to download in the locally, and then you can import that particular project into the IntelliJ. Okay? So once you open this particular project here, okay, so here you will see there is an form.xml. Okay, so we have to just verify all the details whatever you have downloaded. So the version, the artifacts ID and other details should match up, and then you have the dependencies in this. Okay, so once you have this particular project added over here, what you can do, you can actually have this particular clean build run over here. So what will happen, all the dependencies will be downloaded from the Maven repository to your local. Okay, so make sure you clean and install this. So now if you go to this particular application dot properties, right, I've given the properties server port over here, and also I've given the console the details with respect to the S2 database. So this is the database and this is the username and password and this is the dialect. Along with that, I'm giving the driver details. Okay, now we have the basic setup over here, whatever needs to be done. Okay, now we'll go to the controller. So first we'll create the model over here because this is one of the thing. So here I've already created in order to save the time. Okay, so I've created a book, I've added the entity over here. Okay, and then I have created three fields which I have here. This will be ID will be automatically generated and the other two things we have to pass in. Okay, along with that, I've created the constructor and then I've created the getter setters. Okay, alternative to this, you can actually add the lombok which will save your time to create this one. So you have to make use of that particular at the rate data or the at the rate getters annotation, so that it will automatically create that along with the constructor and other details. Okay, so once you create this, make sure go to the repository. So you have to create this particular repository and you have to add the import. So now make sure your JPA repository is referring to that particular entity what we have already created. Okay, now we have used JPA repository. This is one of the repository which will include all the pagination and as well as the default methods which are required, like find by ID and all details will be there. So you will be able to perform the basic operation which is including the CRUD operations. Okay, now then comes the controller. Okay, so ultimately you have to mark this particular controller as an REST controller and then you have to map this particular URL. Okay, mapping over it. Then whatever the request you are trying to hit on or invoke on this, it will be landed on this particular controller. Now you see here I have actually created I've added the book repository over here, and then I've constructor which is going to add the dependency. Then if you see the very first thing, actually I'm trying to get all the particular list of books. Okay, so basically underneath what exactly it is happening, if you see find all, so it is calling the list, right? Now if you see list is actually extending the CRUD repository. Now if you go to the CRUD repository, you will see all these particular basic methods, right? You will have count, delete all, delete everything. Okay, find by all, find by id, save and save all, right? So these are the basic operation, CRUD operation, which are provided internally by the Spring. Okay, now if you go back, so once we hit this particular endpoint, so if you call the book API, ultimately it will at the end it will call this particular API. Now if you want to get some data with respect to specific book, okay, so you have to write this particular get method, and along with that you have to in the URL you have to pass this particular value. Okay, I will show you this in the Postman, but I'm just trying to tell you. Along with that, I have to pass this ID over here. Now if you see with this respective repository, I'm calling this particular find by ID, which is getting passed from here, and then ultimately I'm going to return as a response, as an entity, as an OK. Okay, so once it finds it, it is going to respond, or else it is going to say not found. Okay, then comes post mapping. This is ultimately I'm going to pass some JSON or the body over there, and then it will map it to this particular book. Okay, so I've created this particular create book and the request body, I annotated it, and then I'm going to save it. So now if you see this, ultimately it is going to call it here, right? Now then comes let's say if I want to update of something, right? So I will pass this particular method. So I'm going to call this particular put method. Now it is taking the path variable as a long ID, and then it is taking the what exactly it has to update. Now underneath, based on this particular ID, first it will find by that particular ID, then it is going to ultimately if it is finding, then it is going to set that particular value from this particular updated book. Okay, and then it is going to return that, and it is ultimately saving, and then it is going to return OK. Then comes delete. So ultimately this is the last operation, the delete operation. So here actually I'm taking the what exactly ID I need to delete it. Okay, and then I'm going to pass it over here. Okay, and then ultimately I'm going to delete it, and then I'm going to return it. Okay, now for your information, actually I'm going to stop this application as of now, because I have earlier started it. Okay, so I have clean build it already. Now I will make this particular application up. Before going to the application, so starting the application, I would like to show you something else, which is in the main application, this run method is already there, but along with that I have created one more bean over here, which is a command line. Instead that I'm going to initiate method is read. So in this particular thing, I'm trying to save the data at the start of this particular application, so uh, so that I can actually retrieve the methods details. Okay, now we'll navigate. I will start this particular application. Okay, what you can do, you can from here actually you can start this particular application here itself, or else you can directly start it from here. Okay, now these all things initial startup will happen. Okay, it is started on 9091. Okay, now we'll go to the Postman. Okay, before going to the Postman, I will like to go to the browser. I will open here the database in the browser. Now if you see here, I will just refresh this. Okay, now if you see, the database is bookdb, and then the root password whatever we have kept it over here, it is logged in. Now if you see here, when I run this particular application, it is going to retrieve. This is the same values what we have inserted in the bean. Okay, now we'll go to the Postman. Now if you see here, I've already written the curl this one. Okay, and imported it. Now first of all, I'm trying to get all the books. Okay, if you see here, I'm going to hit this. Now if you see, I'm getting all the books. So ultimately in the database, I have got only two records in the data table. So hence I'm getting this. Okay, so in this particular thing, I'm going to get, it is a get method over here. It is calling that particular book API, and then it is returning. Okay, second, I'm going to pass only one single we had another method, right, where we am passing the particular id from in the url, right, part variable. I'm trying to call this, I'm getting only single value. Okay, let's say if I pass second over here, I will be getting that second value as well. Okay, so third, actually I'm trying to create a resource. Okay, now once I, if you go to this particular body, right, it is post method, it is passing this particular. Now if you see, I'm trying to create this one. Okay, now I'm not passing id over here because ultimately it will, in the entity we have written that, it will automatically generate. Okay, so once we call this, it will create. Okay, now we'll navigate to this particular console and we'll run this again. Now you see there is already a value written over here, right? Okay, then we are calling the update method over here. Now in the body, I'm trying to update something as an author, right? So let's say I'm updating some value over here. Okay, I'm trying to update some value for this particular value 3. Okay, now you see here it is updated to 3. Now if you go to this particular thing, the third value, if you see, it should be updated, right? Then comes delete. Okay, now if you see, I'm passing the value which one I need to delete. Okay, now on body I don't have anything else to be passed up. Params also I don't have, I'm just simply passing it in the url. Okay, and I'm going to call the delete method. Now if you see this particular 204, it is returning over here. Ultimately it is okay. Now if you run this particular thing, it will, there will be no value of 1. Okay, I hope this video was very helpful to you, and it actually gave you an understanding of how to create the REST API with the help of Spring Boot. Okay. If this video was helpful, please subscribe to my channel. Also share with the needy people. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Thank you for watching.